this video installment on tips for self-paced triathlon endurance. Today, in this video, we're going to be talking about having a spectator plan, because that's usually kind of an afterthought if an athlete is very focused on getting their training, racing, and all set up, and especially on race week, it's very overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff going on. But then you get to race day and your spectators are wondering, what do I do? What do I do? How am I going to see you? You don't want to deal with that stress kind of the night before the race, or everybody's trying to figure it out. So I want to put my ideas out there that will help you and your spectators have a good plan of action, so everybody's, relieving the stress before the race day and race week. One less thing that you have to stress out about. So with that, we're going to talk about race day strategies and have a spectator plan. So the first point is, make a plan well in advance of the event. So there are plenty of things you could do. You can go on the maps, the course maps on the Ironman website. They've got plenty of information out there. Most races do have this information out there. So you go and you just review the course maps, because that will tell you where some good spots are, where maybe there's some loops and where you can see athletes more than once. It's just good to know the layout, especially roads and everything. Even print them off so your spectators, if they're moving around, if they're going to try to catch you in different spots in the course, check out the maps, know the area as far as maps go. Go to Google Maps, check out the roads and everything, and just know where you're going and know where the routes are. So that's the key, is just making sure before you even show up is you could do this at any point in time. Go and just check out the course maps. So pick spectating spots with the most chance to see athletes. They have a lot of, in events, what they call hot corners or anything. So if there's a multiple ways, if you stick in one position, maybe an athlete comes on one side of you and then comes back on another side and they're doing loops. Maybe an opportunity where you're sticking to one side, you can see your athlete 4 different times without having to make a huge trek, without having to drive anywhere or travel anywhere or anything like that. So looking at those maps will be able to give you a good idea of where those kind of hot spots are, to where you can see your athlete for the most amount of times, most bang for your buck. So you don't have to spend a lot of time driving around looking for them. You only see them once, and then you see them at the finish line. That's a long day for spectators to not see your athlete. So looking at those maps give you an idea where you can pick your best spectating spots. So avoid having to cross the course or driving too far to see the athletes. You could get caught in traffic and not get to see athlete later. I experienced this in Lake Tahoe 2013. That was my first Ironman event, and my wife went out there to watch. And she went out on the bike course and unfortunately got caught up in traffic. So she saw me riding down the hill because she was stuck in traffic, and then she missed out on seeing me when I was out on the run course and doing a couple loops because she got stuck in traffic. There is a lot of that, especially if you're going to cross the course, especially as multiple loops, you will be stuck in traffic. So as an athlete on the course, I've ridden through several times where you're riding on the shoulder and there's just miles of lines of cars. So, if all possible, avoid your spectators having to drive anywhere. Now, some events will have bus services that possibly will take you out to the course somewhere. They should be forward-thinking enough that they should be driving around the course where they don't have to cross traffic, but even the buses get stuck in there. They don't have necessarily more special rights than people driving around. So I would definitely highly recommend avoiding having to drive anywhere to go to spectate to see your athletes, especially if the parking area around transition, finish line, start line, wherever the group is, if it interferes with the course, bike course and everything, you're going to be stuck in there, and if you get out, you're going to be stuck trying to get back in, and it's going to be frustrating, and just don't do it. So I would recommend picking spots that hopefully is accessible by walking. It is going to be a long day for your spectators. Average finish time is usually 14-15 hours. So you're going to have a lot of time, especially if people are on bikes, but you can plan with the map spots that you can either walk to and hopefully avoid having to get in your car and go around. Usually, if you're walking, you can cross the course. They have crosswalks and stuff, so that's not that big of a deal. But when there's cars involved, it is going to be just a headache to try to drive around anywhere around this course, especially if you're interested in seeing your athlete. Pack a lunch, plan to stay all day. Like I said, 15-16 hours out there. It's a long day for the athletes, but it's going to be a long day for the spectators. So make sure you are prepared. Some races are good. They're around populated areas that have plenty of options for food, for water, for shelter, for anything. Ironman Chattanooga is great. It's right there by the Riverwalk area. There's plenty of shops, restaurants. You can leave. It's pretty accessible as far as coming and going as far as spectators and parking. But basically, you can park there and be all day. And if it rains, there's places to go. If you're hungry, there's places to go. You can park your car and then walk back to the car. The parking lots are pretty close if you pack a lunch or something. But things like Ironman Muncie, 70.3, you're kind of out in the wilderness at a park area. So there's shelter and restrooms, but there's not. They maybe try to bring in a food truck. So you may be stuck with food and water, and if you don't have it with you, you're going to have a hard time trying to find it. It's not as long of a day, but then if your spectators didn't plan appropriately, then they're kind of stuck without things. So plan on being there for a long extended period of time. Picnic, pack a lunch, pack a cooler, put it in the car so the spectators go out and get stuff. And if you're bringing kids, plan stuff to bring with you to entertain them, iPads, phone games, whatever you got to do to keep them satiated and happy, playpens, nap areas, something. Just expect it's going to be a long day, unless you're in an event where possibly like I'm in Florida, we got a VRBO on the run course. So everybody was able to kind of hang out the run course, but then it caused a problem with traffic trying to get back to the finish line across the finish line. So they're a little bit delayed because of that. So just plan appropriately. Plan maybe where you're going to stay. If your people, your spectators, are going to be staying on the course and they just see you there, if they're going to try to get to the finish line, they're going to have to deal with some traffic, some other things. But if you're parking with your athlete and you're going to be there, plan on a long day. Will they be with the athlete up until the gun goes off? So if you're going to hang out with your athlete until the very start, a lot of events that's usually possible. Some events like Ironman Chattanooga, they bus you out to the start of the swim because it's upriver. So the spectators can go with them, but more than likely the swim is pretty fast because you're downriver. Spectators probably will not get back on the bus routes in time to see their athletes come out of the water. So you need to plan on that. Is it more important to see them off when they start, or is it more important to see them when they come out of the water and encourage them there, and then seeing them in transition when they leave to go out and bike? So you kind of make those decisions. And like I said, viewing the course map, looking months ahead to try to figure out, hey, where's the best places, where's the best bang for my buck to spend my time to see my athlete. But if you're going to spend the entire time, if you want to be with them up to the start, you need to know if it's a point-to-point kind of start, if they're going to be bussed out, or if you can just walk with your athlete and you can walk back. 70-point we've seen back in the day, they're going to have us walk to the swim start. So your spectators could walk with you, and then they could probably walk along and see most of the swim going along in the lake there. So, just know the course, know the race. If it's downriver swim, more than likely you're not going to be able to get to your athlete and see him in time. But, possibly like Ironman Chattanooga, you could have walked a trail maybe. Sometimes they kind of shut it off. So just know the course, know the event, and is it going to be possible to be with your athlete and then see them later and be able to make all the other stuff. So have ways for the athlete to see the spectators. So as an athlete, I've done 7 full Ironman races out there. It's hard when you're in the moment to see past your little sphere of 3 feet. You're worried about hydration, food, pacing, all this other stuff. And the last thing you need to do is be worrying about, looking for a particular hat or shirt, or, if you guys aren't wearing something special that stands out in the crowd. So it's very hard to see spectators when you're kind of thinking, I just need to keep moving forward, especially on the run. Don't want to stop. It causes problems, especially with your race bib. You got your name on there, and people are yelling out, "Hey Ryan, good job Ryan!" And you're like looking around, you're like, "Well, who's Hey Ryan?" It's like, is that my wife? Is that my spectators? Is that just a nice person out there? Have something that differentiates you between all the other athletes out there, or all the other spectators for your athlete out there. Sometimes people carry around unique balloons. You can go out and just get just regular party balloons. You can just get a bunch of balloons and fill them with helium so they're floating around. It's just like, hey, look for the bunches of balloons. Okay, great. Go out and get something from a party store the day before and be an obnoxious balloon. If the race is in July, for some reason you found a Valentine's Day balloon left over, that's great. Nobody else is going to have it. Have it be unique. I've seen some groups, they wear special shirts and they're loud, obnoxious colors. So bright pink, if you have a group of 5, 6, 10 people all wearing pink shirts, it's a little bit easier to see them. Also, with the map, you can plan on different areas where you can spectate Ironman Chattanooga. Once you get out of transition, you're running up the hill to start the race. It's it's very open, so people could just camp out in the shade and see their athletes go by and cheer them on and that kind of stuff. So just be aware that your athlete is going to have a hard time finding you, even if you're wearing what you think is a unique outfit or something like that. After a while, it all blends in together because there are hundreds of people running around, spectating, volunteering, and it's just kind of a blur as an athlete. So make sure you also pre-select spots and say, I'm going to be at this corner when you come by, so look for me, because the Ironman has a tracker app. So hopefully you can see when your athletes are coming in on the bike, and kind of time it if you want to catch them coming out of transition or something. That could be a big point. At least you know where they're kind of at and where they're crossing timing mats. So say, at this corner, I'm going to be there, so look for me there. So at least they know landmarks to look for their spectators. And like I said, map it out before the race week. So you have an idea, you can download the course maps, you can have a good idea where everything is at. But once you get there, visit the locations and finalize your plan, because what you see on a map may be very different and may be very inaccessible compared to what you saw on Google Maps or the course maps. So go, drive to it, say, this is it, this concrete column right here, this is where I'm going to be. Or at the end of this bridge in the shade, that's where we're going to be. We're going to hide out underneath when you cross over and do this little loopy-loop. We're going to be underneath there, hanging out in the shade with our lawn chairs and beer and taunting you. And this is where we're going to be, so look for us. Drive by, you see it physically, and everybody knows where it's at and where you're going to be. So check it out in person. I highly recommend that, because you look at a map and then you go see it in person, you're like, this is not what I thought at all, or it's a little sketchy here, I don't want to hang out here all day. It just gives you a good idea if that's a good location or not. So the last point I want to leave you with, spectators need to be self-sufficient once the race starts. I've seen it happen where athletes come out of transition and spectators are just kind of like lost, and they didn't realize what the duty as a spectator or Sherpa is really going to entail. So make sure that everybody's clear. Once the race starts, your athlete is pretty much useless to you. They cannot help you, they cannot direct you. Maybe they can blurt out something and it's like, well, I think at this corner, maybe that's a good spot to meet. Getting your athlete, catching them in or out of transition, they're in a hurry, they're going to be stressed, people are running around, it's frantic, it's chaotic, it's hectic, especially for first timers. That is not the point in time you want to say, hey, let's come over to the side, let's let the clock keep running, and we're going to talk about where we're going to see you later on the course. That is not the time to do that kind of stuff. So make sure your spectators realize once that race starts, you're out of pocket as far as an athlete goes. Like I said, I've kind of seen it kind of ravel apart, and people get frustrated with each other and mad, and the day is not. That's an unfortunate way to kind of experience a race and go out there and have spectators mad and your athletes mad and frustrated and in the race, and everybody's just not happy. So make sure that they understand, hey, once the race starts, I'm no good to you. Let's follow the plan. I'll look for you. If I miss you, I'm totally sorry. At the end of the race, we'll celebrate and everything. So just make sure that they are aware that you're not going to be much of a help to them, because you're going to be jelly in the legs and in the brain. So those are my key points on a spectator plan for your race. I think the overall theme is plan ahead. Don't show up. Don't try to figure out the day before. Get the maps a month before, a month and a half. Sit down with your people and say, hey, here's the maps. Let's sit down and kind of spitball some ideas. And then get closer and closer and closer. Go to the day before or 2 days before. Visit in person. This is where we're going to meet. This is the plan. I want to be at transition. I want to be at this point on the run. And I'll try to catch you at the finish line. I want to catch you. I want to go with you on the bus to the swim start. But I won't see you coming out of transition out of the swim unless I'm lucky. But I'll see you in T2. Whatever the plan is, get it done at least 2 days before. Because the day before, you don't want to stress out about this stuff. You're doing special needs bags. You're doing bags for transition. You're doing morning bags. You're getting all your stuff together. You're dropping off your bike. You're, last minute check-in if they allow it. You're doing all this other stuff the day before. The last thing you want to worry about is stressing out about your spectator plan. Get this done ahead of time, and I guarantee you the race will go so much smoother. Everybody will have a better time. It'll be a better experience for everybody. And that way, if they have a good time and you want to do another race, you've used the plan. You could use it again. Everybody has a good time. Everybody walks away with thinking that was fun instead of that was completely frustrating and I don't want to ever see you do another one. So I'm trying to make you successful so you can keep doing this sport because we all love it. Like with any video, if you've got any questions or any comments or anything you think that I missed that I should put in for later, let me know. I'll get back to them. Happy training out there.